Welcome to this month's Breakthrough Poker Coaching Training. Great to have you along. This is how to beat up weak players and take their chips. How to beat up weak players and take their chips. Really excited to be bringing you this month's training because I think this month is probably going to make you more money and more chips than any other month that you study in the coaching program. It's not the most technically advanced. It's not the most kind of mathematically in-depth or theoretical, if you like, but in terms of real-world application, I know it's going to deliver you the biggest amount of benefit and the biggest amount of winning chips. Going to start off by telling you a little anecdote slash joke that's done the rounds for some time. There's two hunters in the woods out looking for, let's say, deer. I don't really know what hunters do. And they're walking along, and in the distance, around the corner, they see a huge black bear, and it does the big scary bear thing, and it starts to charge towards them. And one of the hunters instantly drops his backpack and starts scrabbling through, pulls out a pair of running shoes, and starts putting them on. And his friend says to him, "What are you doing? Why are you putting running shoes on? You can't outrun a black bear." And he says, "I don't have to run a black bear, I just have to outrun you." Which is a beautiful story. It's also a great analogy for poker, because poker is about being better than the people that you play with. It's not about an absolute of skill. So being one of the top 10 poker players in the world doesn't benefit you if you play heads up against the very best poker player. Similarly, you only need to be better than the people you play with in order to win, right? So you can be terrible at poker, but if you play against 4 or 5 people who are, you know, beginners or just super horrendous bad, then you're going to win. So actually, it's just about making sure you're playing against players weaker than you. However, that's just one part of the equation, okay? Because it's one thing to be in a game with weak players, but it's another thing to know how to exploit them and to win the maximum amount of chips from them every time you play. And it's vital that you not only are aware that you need to beat weak players, but you actually spend time focusing and studying on techniques that allow you to really punish them and extract the maximum amount of chips every single time. So that's what we're going to do this month together. We're going to go through the modules. I'm very excited that Jack Elwood, the young online poker superstar with over $2 million of winnings, is joining us. He really knows his stuff. He also really knows about beating weak players. He started at the bottom level of poker, playing small stakes, and worked his way up. He's got some great insights for you. And the training is going to really help you. I think you're going to enjoy it. So this month, Module 1 is how to love weak players, target and profile them. So in this module, I'll teach you, first of all, the right mindset for dealing with weak play, and how to not let it frustrate you, how to understand that weak players are there for your benefit and they are going to get lucky sometimes. And then we'll move on to some concrete skill, which involves targeting weak players, finding them, making sure you're in hands with them, and profiling them. Profiling them is something that uses the available information you have that anyone can do, but that most players don't do very well. You will by the end of this module. So that's module 1. Module 2 is how to isolate and value bet to the max. So I'm sure you've heard of the skill of isolating players. When you want to extract money from weak players, it's vital that you get them heads up in the pot. So we're going to look at techniques for doing that. And then the really critical skill of this whole month's training is value betting weak players. Understanding how to make the maximum amount of money and never leave chips on the table, which I can pretty much guarantee you're doing right now. You won't do after studying this module and putting the tips into practice. As ever, at the end of all of these modules, concrete tips and exercises which make sure that these skills show up in your game. Module 3 is aggression and weak players, or Plan B. So our first plan with weak players is going to be to value bet them, have a better hand and extract money. Our second plan is going to be to use aggression against them, make them fold too much, and also be aware of how they use aggression. So that's all packed into Module 3. And then finally, Module 4 is Jack Elwood on beating weak players. So an in-depth training call with Jack, where he tells us how he does it, how he exploits weak players, finds them and takes them down. So a lot of training to get through. As ever, you will get the training call, so make sure that you're on that and ask your questions that will come out of this training. Can't wait to hear about your successes, but also help you with your struggles on that call. Until then, I'm going to put my running shoes on and out-sprint all of you. What, just because I can. I'll see you in the training. Module 1's going to start as soon as you hit that play button. I can't wait to see you in there.